So let's do one thing. Let's take that time to connect with the management of BLS International Services. That's the company on our radar. The stock is down about 30% in 2025. So it's been a tough year for shareholders. But the company has seen 46% growth in the first half of the current fiscal year. To talk about the outlook from here on, we have Shikhar Aggarwal, Joint MD at BLS International and Chairman at BLS E-Services. Three key talking points. Shikhar, thank you for joining in. Season's greetings to you. So three key talking points that we want to cover. Whether 40% plus kind of growth can continue for the rest of the year as well. What about their focus on digital services? What are they thinking on that front? And can the company return to 30% margins as this year closes out, as we enter the new fiscal? So let's take all of these questions one by one, Shikhar. Let's talk about the growth rate. You know, while the stock has languished, like we just pointed out, you've had a good first half. What are the trends indicating? Will you end, say, with 35-40% top line growth this year?
See, if you see the trends, last 5 years, we've been growing at around 50% CAGR. And if you talk about specifically quarter 2 itself, our revenue obviously grew by around 48.8% to 736 crores. And our EBITDA has surged by 30% to 212 crores. So definitely, we have seen a good growth compared to last year. As we have said, quarter 3 normally, in terms of travel demand, in terms of visa, is a little less seasonally for us that we have seen historically. So I don't know how this quarter turns out. But going forward, what trajectory that we have given is that next 5 years, organically, our target is to grow at least 20 to 25% year on year. On top of that, there are a lot of new contracts that we are bidding for, a lot of acquisition M&A opportunities as well. If you see last year itself, we've acquired companies worth around 12 to 1400 crores, and similar amount of cash is again at the end of quarter 2 in the books of the company. So we definitely feel there's a big opportunity for growth going forward.
Okay, so you've given us a couple of touch points here. A, you're saying that what was a 40-50% CAGR run rate, that might come down to about 25% in FY26 going into 27, right?
See, what I'm trying to tell you is that with the small base, obviously, company grew faster.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Now with the increased base, our immediate target is organically, with the existing business that we have in hand, with the existing volumes, existing per application growth, we expect at least 20 to 25% growth. But on top of that, there are a lot of new tenders that we are bidding for and a lot of new M&A opportunities. If those get added, then definitely growth can be much further.
Okay, so we'll talk about the acquisition and the M&A opportunities in just a bit, but just to complete the picture on the base business, the organic business, which you say will grow at 20-25%, in the visa business particularly, I just want to understand what is your exposure, or what is the contribution from, say, the US, because that's where a lot of headlines are about what's happening, too much confusion, delays in visa applications. So will that weigh, and if yes, to what extent on your visa business?
See, we started working for the US government recently after the new administration came in. So we have not seen any big numbers as such already. So anyhow, if the numbers increase, it will only add to our revenue and margin. So we recently started working for the US government in a couple of countries, and we have seen some numbers coming in, but the volume has not reached its peak. So we can definitely feel that there is a big potential in terms of US visas as well.
Shikhar, just to get back to a thorny point that took place a couple of weeks back, initially the Ministry of External Affairs barred BLS International from participating in future tenders. Thereafter, the Delhi High Court quashed this, which means you are eligible as a company to participate in tenders. But is this the end of this issue, or do you think the Delhi High Court order may be challenged and once again the company could be barred by the MEA?
See, what I know is what we've already announced to the exchange, that we have got this approval where we...
Oops. All right, that is, we'll try and reconnect with BLS International, but just to summarize what he had to say, typically the December quarter is slower for the visa business. It's great for travel business, but for the visa business, it's typically seasonally slower. So we'll have to see how Q3 pans out. But overall, over the next 5 years, he's confident about organic growth sustaining between 20 to 25%. And on top of that, the company will be continuing to scout for acquisitions. They have been acquisitive. Last year, BLS, Shikhar was telling us the company spent about 1,200 to 1,400 crore in terms of acquisition. So that will boost the overall business. Also, the margins for the company have been steadily expanding over the last couple of quarters as the company is making more revenue on per visa application. So the net revenue per application has been steadily expanding for the company. So for instance, in Q2 of FY24, that's about 2 years back, they used to make about close to about 2,000 rupees on every visa application. And that number went up to 3,200 per application as of the last quarter. So that's been helping the company's overall visa margins as well. Shikhar, you were telling us about this issue from MEA and whether there is a possibility the company could be barred in the future.
See, as we have already announced to the exchanges, whatever relief we have got, we have announced that to the exchanges, and now we are eligible to participate. And as and when the tenders come, we will be participating.
Okay. And what is the contribution of that business as of now with this whole ban?
Around 12%. Around 12% of our revenue comes from the business that we do for the MEA.
And you expect that to keep growing, despite this legal issue that kind of cropped up?
No, as we have already announced that we have got the relief and we continue to participate in the future tenders, whatever revenue we currently have will remain intact.
Got that. I think from October, November, about 1-2 months back, there were direct flights which resumed between India and China. And remember a couple of years back, you saying that our growth has not gotten back to the pre-COVID levels because Russia and China, as a market for tourists, had shut down, had closed. Now that at least China has opened up, can you give us an indication of the number of tourists or the number of visas that you have filed for? And how much of an incremental growth driver can that be for your company?
See, definitely China is a big outbound travel market. And in 2019, there were around 400,000 Chinese visitors that came to India as tourists. And as you know, we recently won a contract for the Indian Embassy in China, where we have deployed offices for the Chinese who want to travel to India. So we feel that since direct flights have now started, there could be a big surge in numbers. And if the numbers come back to what was happening pre-COVID, there will be a big boost in number of Chinese who are coming to India. And also, it will be beneficial for the Indian tourism sector.
Okay, so 400,000 was the inbound travel from China into India in 2019. Do we have the number for 2025, especially in November, December, since, direct flights have resumed?
No, I don't have the exact numbers right now, but we definitely know this is where the peak was achieved at.
Mm-hmm. So, Shikhar, getting back to a point that you sounded fairly excited about, and that was M&A growth, basically, growth beyond just the organic business. And tell us what you're thinking there, because also that ties in with the fact that I think over the years, you're trying to pivot away from being purely focused on the visa business, right? This digital services business. I think first half, your visa business generated revenue of about 900 crores. Digital services generated revenue of just over 500 crores. So it's growing. What are your plans to take it up a notch? And what kind of M&A do you have your eye on? Will we see another deal before this financial year ends?
No, first of all, the visa outsourcing market is growing around 14% CAGR annually. If you talk about the existing business plus new governments outsourcing for the first time. So the visa market continues to grow. And even if you see today, around 60 to 70% of our revenue comes from visa outsourcing business. So our immediate focus definitely is also on growing that. But if you see our digital business, we did some M&A last year. We acquired this company, Artifilis. We won some new contracts. So definitely we have seen a good growth coming in the digital business itself. But in the next few years, I feel the growth trajectory from both the business will remain steady fast. And that is the reason we listed our subsidiary BLS E-Services separately, which contains the digital service business.
One more acquisitions in which business? The legacy visa business or the digital business? And when do we see those acquisitions?
See, we recently announced last year 3 acquisitions, which was the biggest acquisition in the history of the company. But we have a big M&A team. We continue to look at opportunities, both in the visa business as well as the digital service business. As you may see, we recently also won a big contract, a 2,000 crore contract from Aadhaar authorities to process Aadhaar applications within India. So those revenues will also start coming in probably from the next 2-3 months.
Thank you, Shikhar, for joining in, and wish you, your family, the entire team at BLS International and E-Services a very happy new year. Thank you very much for joining in.